Alright, here we are with the computer analysis. I've done my usual thing, go to the chess.com computer analysis and just click the very first setting, the quick analysis, the most shallow analysis, because the more deeper forms of analysis require you to be a paid member of chess.com, which I am not, so but then again, the quick analysis is enough for me because I just want to make sure that my tactics for the game are on point. Okay, so going into the game. Um, so here we are, the Alapin variation of the Sicilian defense. So c3 on the second move. The thing about playing against c3 is that it's very difficult to keep the same spirit. To play against c3 while maintaining that same Sicilian spirit. What do I mean by the Sicilian spirit? Well, I guess for those of you who don't know the Sicilian defense, who are a little bit new, let's just go through a little short, quick introduction to the Sicilian defense. Okay, so you have white playing e4. So white plays e4, and of course, one of the goals of white to develop optimally is that he wants to place both pawns on e4 and d4. So, against various openings, let's say this thing, white can get in e4 and d4, or against this one, white can get in e4 and d4, and that gives him a very nice control over the center. So all these squares here from c5 to f5 are under white's control, and white has plenty of space to develop, and he has open lines to develop all his pieces. So the two moves which prevent white from freely carrying out this plan are, of course, the Sicilian defense and e5. Of course, e5 is a good move, but in that case, black is sort of saying, well, you play e4, so I think that's a pretty good move, and so I'm going to play e5 and copy you, and I accept that I am half a move behind you. So by playing e5, black is saying, okay, I think e4 is a really, really, really strong move. And I think the best response is to do the same. I'm just going to keep half a move behind you and just play sort of symmetrically and keep things as balanced as I can. So black here, by playing e5, black is saying, okay, I'm just going to keep things balanced and symmetrical and hope to get an even game that way. Whereas c5 has a totally different spirit. The idea behind c5 is saying, oh look, you play e4, a move which gives good central influence and opens lines for your queen and your bishop. So e4 helps to develop your position, but I'm just going to play a move c5, which doesn't really help me to develop any of my minor pieces at all. So it doesn't help me to develop any of my bishops, but I'm saying that with c5, the idea is to ensure that, when you play d4, I'm trading off your center pawn for one of my side pawns. So with c5, black is playing a whole new different game where he's saying that because I'm trading off your center pawn for my side pawn, I'm going to have good long-term advantages, certain long-term advantages to my position, which offset the disadvantage of you having, very, very speedy development, speedy and free development. So that's the spirit behind the Sicilian defense, the spirit behind c5. It's saying, I don't care about how fast your development is. I think my position has its own strengths. I'm going to play to a set of very different strengths. I'm going to make the position so imbalanced that it's going to be your set of strengths, which are your free and easy fast development, versus my strengths, which are compact position, uh, an extra center pawn, and the potential to attack your queenside with the queenside minority attack. Things like this. So Black is saying that with c5, I'm going to be very ambitious. So the spirit of the Sicilian defense is, I'm going to be very ambitious. I'm going to play for the win. I'm going to make sure that my strengths come out on top of yours. So that's the whole idea behind c5, the whole reason why c5 became such a popular continuation or popular opening amongst grandmasters, because not only did it prove to be a sound defense against e4, but because of its ambitious nature, it's a very nice opening to play against weaker players. Because if you play with e5 against weaker players, because they have the advantage of moving first, they can sort of hold on for quite a while. And most people know how to play against e5 because most opening books teach you that. The opening books for beginners, they teach you, the very first thing they teach you is how to play e4, e5, whereas newer players are often very, very lost when they're playing the white pieces against c5. So that's another reason. So that's the spirit of the Sicilian defense. And in Grandmaster games, they'll continue with knight f3, some move, and then d4, and then takes. So you have this battle where white is just developing very fast, and black is just taking his time to develop pieces. He will normally even play a few more pawn moves, which to a beginner don't seem to serve any purpose, but actually they do serve a purpose. Like this one prevents 3 pieces from occupying the important b5 square. But black is just playing to his strengths, saying that, oh, eventually my extra center pawn and my queenside counterplay will come up on top of your fast development. And because that's what this kind of line is considered the most critical line against the Sicilian defense. White, for a long time, when the Sicilian defense first came out, these were the main lines. And of course, grandmasters are very, very prepared on both sides of this line. But, sometimes white players, if they're not at grandmaster level, they sort of don't like getting into a battle where black can choose his formation in the Sicilian defense. And so that's why, I guess that's why c3 came to become a very popular opening. So with c3, now white is not, going all out and trading his d pawn for black c pawn and just trying to kill black in a very fast attack. So with c3, now white is trying to make the game more balanced. With c3, he's saying, oh, I'm not going to challenge you on your territory, but I'm going to play my own game. So with the Alapin variation, white is saying, oh, I'm going to play my own game. And this game of c3, it just aims to keep the center formation balanced, the pawn formation balanced. So now white no longer is trading away the d pawn for the c pawn, but you know, eventually he will be able to play d4, and if black ever takes here, white can recapture and maintain 2 pawns in the center. So now with c3, white is saying, okay, I'm trying to make the position more balanced, but I'll retain my advantage of playing first as white. So that's the whole idea behind c3. It just aims to destroy the spirit of the Sicilian defense, to destroy black's aim of making the game very imbalanced. So those are my concerns, if you like, my considerations for choosing my opening against the Alapin variation. What I was trying to do was to choose a variation which maintained that spirit of the Sicilian defense, which maintained that spirit of trying for an unbalanced position so black can play for a win. And at the same time, of course, I want to make sure it's a sound opening. I want to make sure that it's not a crazy opening which leaves me vulnerable if white responds correctly, but I want an opening which is, sound even if white happens to play the best moves. So that was why I chose d5 against my lower rated opponent, and specifically the plan of d5 combined with g6. So that was what I chose to play, and I think this plan is actually a very nice plan to play against the Alapin variation. But the thing is that I haven't studied it much yet, so that's why I was a little hesitant to play it. And you could see that I was taking quite a long time in the opening because of my unfamiliarity with this opening. Anyway, a side remark is that he actually chose to play knight f3 before d4. Normally that doesn't change anything. That makes no difference whatsoever whether you play d4 first or knight f3 first in most variations. But actually against the g6 variation, there is quite a difference. Playing knight f3 first reduces your options quite a lot against g6, whereas if white does play d4 first, then against g6, white has extra options. For example, there's this very critical option of d takes followed by bishop e3, and then now white can actually capture here on a7, because rook capture loses to a queen fork on d4. So rook takes a7 loses to a queen fork on d4. So in this line, black is actually saying, oh, I'm actually going to sacrifice a pawn. And I was actually prepared to play this line against d4. I think it's still okay. Black does get a lot of activity, loads and loads of activity in return for this pawn. And of course white wastes some time as well here. So yeah, if someone tries to blindly copy my plan of g6 and bishop g7 against d4, then that's something you can do if you play d4 first, to go for this variation and win a pawn, and then maybe they don't know how to continue after that. But anyway, just wanted to mention that possibility. So whether you play knight f3 first or d4 first doesn't matter in most variations, but it does matter in the g6 variation. So and of course, you know, the computer analysis doesn't like g6, but I mean, this is only the shallow computer analysis, and you always have to take it with a grain of salt when there are no tactical variations, because the difference between opening moves is so small. So, you know, take all this with a grain of salt. It recommends bishop g4 and then this variation, which is it's a different variation. It's a fully playable variation, but it's a different variation. And of course, castle queenside is another variation, and that's a very, very crazy variation where, like with all opposite castle games, you have to attack the other guy's king before he attacks your king. So that's a completely different game, but you know, g6 is okay, perfectly fine. And then c4, yes. So after c4, you need to do something here. Now, if black doesn't do anything and just retreats the queen to some square, then white will have the opportunity to follow this up with d5. So that was something I wasn't too keen on. Maybe it's okay. I mean, maybe it's still okay for black in this case, but it's something I just don't like. So I was looking at the two queen checks, queen e6 and queen e4 check, and so my calculations were going something like, oh, queen e4 has to be met by bishop e3, defending d4, whereas queen e6, you know, it gives white some options to go wrong with bishop e2, and with bishop e2 I can go queen g4. So that's what I was calculating, and it actually turned out to be what actually happened in the game. But then again, in the game, what happens is that queen e6, bishop to queen g4. I thought this was actually really good for black because, you know, white is, this g2 pawn is attacked and the d4 pawn is also attacked 3 times and defended only twice. So I thought, oh, this must be a really good position for black. So castles and takes, and white now must prove that his lead in development compensates for the material, but actually this whole idea of queen e6 followed by queen g4 is actually an unsound idea according to the computer, and it's because white actually has the nice response h3, and this is a wonderful response, and the whole point is that queen g2 is a blunder because of rook h2, and suddenly my queen is trapped. Because of g6, I don't have the g6 square to retreat my queen to, and all the other retreat squares are covered by a white piece. So yes, my entire opening idea was actually a flawed one. It's totally unsound because of h3, and so now after h3, white just has a huge advantage. He gets in d5, as well as the fact that the queen on d7 is just blocking my coordination of my pieces. So I'll have to rethink my opening strategy against c4. So now I'm thinking against c4, queen e6 is not good, and queen d8 might be okay, but I don't like it. So I think the best move against c4 would be queen e4. So I'll accept that my queen will get hit once by the knight, but it should be okay. So I mean, it's kind of the risk I'm taking with the g6 variation. The g6 variation is not as solid a variation as other variations, but it's a risk I take when I play the g6 variation of the Sicilian Alapin defense. Sorry about the knock just now. Someone was knocking on my room. So back to c4 against c4. I think next time I'll play queen e4, and then c takes knight f6, knight c6 queen e5. I think this is probably the way to go for this variation. Okay. So in terms of tactics, my tactics were pretty much on point. I mean, I noticed the fact that both queen checks had to be met by bishop e3. I noticed the queen g4 idea. Of course, I didn't notice the rook trap idea here, but this was a really hard thing to notice, I think. But definitely an idea I have to keep in mind for the future. So I learned something today, the fact that queen g4 can be met by h3 with this queen trap idea. Apart from that, the rest of the game, my tactics were on point. The computer says queen d7 is actually the best move in the computer's opinion. So, and then it says the evaluation is pretty much even. Of course, take it with a grain of salt because it's only the shallow variation of the computer analysis. But yeah, during the game, I thought, yes, I'm a pawn up, but my development is so behind here. So, I'd be okay if it comes out to an equal position. I'm prepared to give up the pawn to regain, to gain some other two bishop advantage. And so overall in this game, I think my tactics were pretty much on point, and I was evaluating the position fairly well. Okay, so even though this game was short, I tried to make the computer analysis section a bit longer, give you some background about the Sicilian defense, and some ideas to play against the Alapin variation. And I think that will be it for today. So stay sharp with your tactics, make sure your skewers, your forks, and your pins are on point, and I'll see you in the next video.